Hello, Gary, Sean. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Paranormal Plus. Hopefully, everybody's having a good evening. Roger, Barb. Hello there, Jim's camera head down. Welcome to the show, everybody. Standing Stone. So, what we got going on, Tracy? And Tracy, you're muted.
I knew that. I was just testing you. Everything's have a pretty good show tonight, I think. Everything's going good. Been beautiful weather here in the St. Louis Metro East area. Had some really, just some really nice days here, buddy. How you been?
Doing good. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. So, hey, Denise, welcome to the show, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's surviving the storm down there. So, yes. That's right, Barb. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, everybody. It's right. We'll throw that banner up for everybody. Thank you. Good reminder. Thanks, Barb. So, you still surviving from after the trip?
Yeah. I keep going through the catacombs and the Highgate Cemetery catacombs there, trying to look for anything I might have caught on the EVPs or anything like that. Didn't really get anything. But like I said, we're kind of rushed when we went there. So, but it is what it is. Next time we go, we'll know to take a little bit slower. I'm going to try to hit some castles next year. That's our goal over in.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah. That'd be real fun.
Yeah. Like go Scotland for 3 or 4 days and then Ireland and check that out. So yeah, maybe back to Paris, because Paris, I'm telling you what, guys, Paris was pretty cool. A little bit dirty. I mean, just because it looks like you're walking back into the 70s when.
Welcome, D. Welcome to the show, D.
It's pretty cool. No, I tell you what, I'm kind of excited for it. I think we lost our guest, did we?
No, waiting for you to introduce him.
Oh, I didn't even see it on. Okay, I thought I was looking at this. No, so hey guys, we have a great guest on tonight. He is an author. He is a owner of the Hinsdale House in Buffalo, New York. He's been an investigator. He's been a producer. Just been a great influence in the paranormal community. So Daniel Klaes, welcome to our show.
Daniel, come on down. Welcome, sir. Hi.
How's it going?
Great to have you. It's an honor.
It's an honor to be here.
Now, doing great, man. Doing great. So first of all, Buffalo, New York, what's the weather like right there?
Too cold, like 62, 63 maybe right now.
Oh, that's perfect weather.
It is nice. But it's been like hot days, cool nights, which I kind of like. But today's been an all around cool day.
So I've always been a Buffalo Bills fan to an extent, right? I mean, there's been a few years, the Jim Kelly years I loved, but it was heartbreaking in some ways,
We're dating ourselves though with that.
Well, yeah. So that's been a while. But Josh Allen, man, I honestly believe that guy is top tier, and he's going to lead it to the promised land one of these next couple of years, I think. I really do.
I hope so. I mean, they named Stephon Diggs the captain today.
No. Awesome. Hey, so in case people don't know it, if you wouldn't mind, tell us about yourself, Dan.
Well, I mean, I just started off like anybody else with an interest in the paranormal. I grew up in a haunted location. They did a feature on it on Travel Channel called My Paranormal Nightmare. My sister was on the show with me, and it just progressed from there. Going to all the haunted locations, kind of learning and absorbing, from the people that were in charge of tours and then picking up a piece of equipment there to the point where I formed a team here in Western New York with my friend Cameron and called the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society. And we started documenting what we were doing online on YouTube. And it went off really well. We did many seasons of our YouTube show called Behind the Shadows. I recently kind of reinvented it a little bit with some newbies and some of us old members going back and investigating with some new people. And that show's been out, we've done 3 episodes of that show. And during that time, I got to investigate the Hinsdale house. This is way before I owned it. And it was just like any other, not like any other location that I've been to, because all the equipment that I had was going off. And I don't know, I just kind of got a little infatuated with it. I started going there more. It was in really crappy shape. The group that was running it locally, they were trying their hardest to try to do all they could to try to fix it up. They were, but most of it was just from donations, donations of stuff that didn't really fit with the house. It was like a patch-up job. And the guy that owned it up in Calgary just kept funneling all the money up there, from the rentals. So they weren't really putting anything back into it. They could have done an amazing job had they not funneled money up to Canada. But then it got to the point where he defaulted on the mortgage, and the bank decided that they were going to just tear it down because it was just in disarray, like black mold throughout the kitchen, honeybees living in the floorboards, like 500,000 of them. Needed a new roof. It was just, it's seen better days. And part of it's because not many people live there, since 86. They couldn't rent it to anybody. Nobody would want to live there because of the history of the house. And many people before that moved in and out of there. So I don't know. Something told me to reach out, because you keep seeing these locations, get torn down. And this location had a story to tell. I felt like it was like telling me, go do this and everything will be fine. Like just follow, like come build it and they will come type of thing, and everything fell into place when I went to the bank, and me coming up with the funds to buy it. And then the people that surrounded me after I bought it to start fixing it up and getting it to a place where it is today. A lot of it's volunteer work, people in the paranormal community coming together, and people that are interested in the location that are coming to investigate it. I in turn wrote a book about it. Started getting asked to come to events to speak about the house. Now it's gotten me in numerous countries. It's been on numerous television shows. I've been able to go on television quite a bit. And then I ended up meeting Nick Groff when he was filming Paranormal Lockdown at the house. And I don't know, we formed a friendship, like a bond. And, he brought me into his world, and it's been a crazy ride, so, I'm at the point where, what I went to school for, just throw that out the freaking window. Cause now I'm running a company that produces paranormal television shows. And we've been producing his new show, Death Walker, hands-on, no network assistance. Just, we had some investors and put all that money. We just put everything right back into the show. We all worked for free, scraped and crawled, and finally got it to where it could be viewed.
No, that's awesome.
And it's a good story, and we're on season 4 of that, and hopefully the ends will justify the means, with that too as well. And we're producing another television show at the end of this month as well with him and his wife. And I have a family, and among other things as well, and it's just busy, so it's been quite a ride. If you would ask me 15 years ago, what would you be doing in 15 years? I don't think I'd say this. I don't know that I would have known, but probably something with my college degree. But
I tell you what, it's exploded over the last 3 or 4 years too. With the paranormal community, that my opinion anyway. So that's awesome. And so you're talking about the Hinsdale house and how you went into how you bought it, and there you go, he's gone.
Paranormal sucked him in. There he comes.
You got him.
He's back.
I'm not touching that button anymore. I thought I had it all set where I could stream the show for you guys, but whatever.
No. Hey, the Hinsdale house, the background on it. Can you give the background on it? I mean, what drew you? You talked about going and buying it and all that stuff, but what was the one thing that you just one day decided you had to have that house? What's the history on that?
Well, let me tell the story. The first time I ever went there, I knew nothing of this location. It was kind of unlike me to go to a place that I don't know anything about. I wanted to know as much as I can going into an investigation. And this one, the co-founder of the group, Cameron, booked it, set it up, basically just told us where we needed to be and told us that he would brief us when we got there. And it was in the middle of December. I know it was because it was hard to get a weekend day there. And it was middle of December. And this place, the Hinsdale house, it's up in the middle of nowhere. It's in the Cattaraugus County, New York, north of like kind of by Erie, Pennsylvania, kind of Bradford, Pennsylvania area, Olean, if anybody's familiar with St. Bonaventure. But it's they call it it's like all these like mountains, and there's nobody around this house. So I'm driving up this mountain in the middle of December, and I have a 2-wheel drive car. It's icy, it's cold, and I'm driving. Finally, I get to the street that it's on, and it's a mud street. And it just gives you that kind of the weary feelings. They call it the Enchanted Mountains of Cattaraugus County, where the house sits. And as I'm driving up to this house, it just doesn't look anything like it does today. And if anybody's ever seen that commercial with like the chainsaws hanging from the garage, and people are in the garage, and they're like, "Oh, let's hide here," and that's kind of what I felt like. My cell phone had no service. I'm driving up to this house in the middle of nowhere. Nobody will be able to find me if something bad happens. And like this just doesn't feel right, But anyway, so I got there. I got into the house. There's no heat in the house. Just a little space heater in the living room at this point. And they had like blankets draping the windows and the passageway to the kitchen. And that was the only way to stay warm. And that was the only place that also had electricity. The rest of the house had none. I sat down on the couch, and he plopped the computer down and put on the episode of A Haunting, A Dark Forest, which was based on the story of the house. And I just remember watching this episode and saying, I looked at him, I said, are we in the house that the failed exorcism happened in? Yeah, cool. I'm like, no, not, kind of, you goosebumps up your arm knowing that you're in a house where they tried to exorcise the location and it didn't work, and the family left, and all this shit was happening to them, and all these things are going through your mind because normally I would mentally want to prep myself for something like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of took a deep breath as the flies buzzed around in the middle of the winter in this house. I'm like, all these things are going through my mind. And came back in the house after I went out and had a breather and started investigating. And the thing that really stood out with that investigation was that every piece of equipment that we brought that night, something manipulated it, something made it go off, something was trying to communicate with us. And we had such primitive tools that we weren't, how could we possibly have answers? Like how could we possibly be able to understand what the energies there are trying to explain to us, because we have K2 meters and we're hoping that the story that we're talking about is going down the right path. I mean, if I knew then what I talked about that at that point, what I know now with the actual history and the stories of the house, I would have hit a bat up against my head. If I were the energies on the other side listening to my crap, I'd be like, who is this guy? Let's get the hell out of here,
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I just started going back. They had a couple events there for fundraisers, and it got to the point where they said, okay, like they defaulted on the mortgage. We're just going to tear this place down. It had a demo date. I mean, they had ripped all the electrical and ductwork out of the house, and it was a shell. It was basically a shell of what it was. And I remember trying to talk to my wife about that one. Hey, honey, there's an income property down in the southern tier. And she's like, well, what do you want to do with it? I said, open it up for paranormal research. It's an active location. Well, is it a good location? What does it need? And then that was like, well, it needs a new roof. There's black mold all throughout the kitchen. The grass is 4 feet tall. It needs a new siding. Basically, it needed everything. It needed new electrical. It needed a new hot water tank. Everything needed to be hooked back up to this location. And all the bank was willing to do was run the power from the pole to the house. So it was all on me. And everything in the world probably told me, you're crazy for doing this. You're crazy for doing this. I remember even the day that I went to go sign the mortgage, I went and drove and stood in front of the house and looked at it and said, what the F am I doing? You know, what am I doing here? I'm basically emptying my bank account. I don't know how I'm going to fix the roof. I don't know how we're going to get anything done. I mean, the roof could collapse if we don't get this fixed soon.
Yeah.
I went and signed it. I just had I don't know. Like, you have to kind of take that leap sometimes, you know, like, I don't know. It just felt like right. Like, with my background in marketing and my passion for paranormal, I felt like I could make a go at it and, you know, be able to do the things that other locations weren't doing for paranormal teams, you know, like offering it at a fair price, offering it, you know, making people part of it, you know, and just really opening it up to working as a team with all the groups that come there to try to investigate the location. And it's really taken off, you know, as far as the promotional aspect of the location. I mean, it's more popular than it's ever been. I was just, before I got on, somebody was asking me if they could book a date in September. And I said, no, you can't. Every freaking day is booked. You know, every day in September is booked or has a tour or something going on. Yeah. And I said, well, when's the next available opening? I said, you know, people are booking October of next year. You know, their people are getting their dates in because they want those weekend dates, you know? Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to get people Fridays and Saturdays if they don't plan ahead.
Isn't it cool that you had that much belief in something, and now you can look back on it and realize, man, that you trusted yourself and your instincts, and you didn't let anybody take you away from it, man. So that's awesome. Kudos to you.
Yeah, and also taking that leap also has helped me with other things, I think, too, like believing in myself more, believing in what I do, and if I'm passionate about something, really just pushing forward with my gut feelings on stuff. And that's all I've been doing for the past 5-6 years, is just going with my gut, you know, like working with Nick and the show, and you know, it's been amazing. It's been fun.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I talk to a lot of people in the paranormal business, you know, just like you do, just like Grizzly does. And whenever I've ever brought up your name, you know, people know you, and people say that you're a very nice person, right? And, you know, I'm like, yeah, definitely, he really is, you know, a super down to earth guy that you can talk to. So kudos for that too, man. Because there's I don't think I've ever met in the paranormal field a negative person. So I mean, to me, I like when I met you, it was at Ashmore Estates in Illinois. 3 years ago, I think it was, with a tour with Nick. And even Nick was just straight up down to earth. And I remember sitting out in the parking lot and had that little red camera that I got, and he came out and we were just talking about it for a little bit, man. He's just down to earth. So, and I'm glad to see the success that he's had as well. You know, he had obviously had success before then, but I'm glad that he's still keeping up there with it. And with all the negativity in the paranormal field for a little bit there, I haven't really seen too much lately, but for a while there was quite a bit. And I'm glad that, you know, he took the high road for it. So, with that, you said you started with him on your just on one of his shows as a producer, director. Is that what you said?
No, I didn't. I came on as a talent for Paranormal Lockdown. You know, like,
that's right.
And I also helped them secure, just being friendly, like what I normally would do for anybody else. If somebody called and says about, you know, a cool location or something like that, I offer what I know, you know, like it's not a competition. And same held true for him, you know, like, and same held true for like the Ghost Finders, you know, the show that I'm on as well. It was a situation where he was looking for an epic location to film Paranormal Lockdown at. And I said, well, I got this awesome old, you know, 100,000 square foot empty old Statler hotel in Buffalo that's got many, many cool stories, you know, like, and he was just he was too into it. And we got to film Paranormal Lockdown there. And that was the first time I had ever been. I was I was crapping bricks because it was the first time that I, have ever been on actual TV. Like, I don't know. I would say that between that and being on Coast to Coast AM, those are probably like the two scariest things for me. It was cool, and you have to act a certain way, and you have to present yourself without mumbling and try to sound clear and say the right things, and it's not scripted, so it's like,
Yeah.
you just want to sound good. And I had done interview for the Hinsdale House, and I got cut, and that's my place. But you know what, I love the fact that my friends got on there, like Tim Shaw and Paul Kenyon, and it was important for me. It's not what for me. It wasn't about being on TV. It was about promoting the location any way I could to get people there to help me get money in there so I could start fixing it up. So I guess just being humbled, and not caring about certain things that pushed me in a certain way, like it was kind of crazy. And then he asked me if I would join him on some Nick Groff tours, and then and then it just kept going back and forth to the point where, it's a trust thing too, like who do you trust with your business? I mean, he's got, millions of fans, and to let me into that circle, you'd have to be very trusting, just as I am with somebody that would like be on my social media or run a store or anything like that. You have to trust the person you're working with, and
Agreed.
It's been cool. I introduced him to his wife, so that worked out so far.
Yeah,
she's awesome. She's a psychic medium that I knew. I used to promote and produce psychic fairs in Western New York. Like, we had the largest one, and we ran it at the Statler Hotel. And I got to know Tessa, and she was just very. She worked hard. She worked for what she got. And that's really what stood out. Like they just meshed as far as their personalities go, as far as like their passion for things, and maybe hers is something else, but they work well together.
No, that's awesome, man. I know you're an author, right? And
yeah,
but I know one thing that you are, and I used to watch I still watch your posts, read your posts, whatever. But your short movies,
I am.
You're into that. And I was telling Grizzly about that before the show came on, and I thought that's just the coolest thing, man. I wish I lived in the Buffalo area, because if I could make it, I'd come to one of yours and just try out for a part,
Well, the cool thing with being on set and producing Deathwalker is I just get to watch a guy that has done this for so long and learn from him, and to the point where, okay, he's like, you pick up the camera, do it this way, try it this way, and this is how we do it in post, and this is how we do it, and when we're doing the edit, and just seeing all the pieces come together, and then seeing it on screen when it's done, it's like artwork. It's like you can have a vision of what you want to portray to somebody, and doing it in the most beautiful way possible. And I become infatuated with that, like even if it's a 15-minute short, or if it's a 20, half, a little, it's just presenting your thoughts onto the screen and making it the best that you can. You really shouldn't do any shortcuts, and that's what I've learned with Nick. Why take shortcuts? If you have a budget of $1,000, let's get the best camera that we can get and make the best, best film that we can make,
Yeah, if you're going all in, you might as well. If you're going in, you might as well go all in, right?
Because get a $50 camera and a $50 light. I mean, you get the best camera that's going to make it look so cinematic and so beautiful, and that's what we've been doing with Deathwalker. I just been sucking it all in, and just learning, and things get better and easier as you go with editing process and working with editors, and it's a learning experience. Well, we just sold Deathwalker to France, and they basically needed everything redone. We had to redo all the shows and put them into a certain format for them, and every country's different. So it was it's going back into the old ones and redoing those and reformatting them, and then sending them and making sure that they pass through QC, and then some of them get bumped back, and it's like, man, it's definitely a learning experience.
Have any of your shorts been out anywhere other than I mean, where could we see some of them if we wanted to go see them?
I have a couple of the ones I've done up on my YouTube station. So you could go to my YouTube and see kind of like some of the stuff that I've been doing. They're pretty cool.
No, it's extremely
story.
Oh, yeah. It's extremely interested me because, growing up, and I think a lot of us feel this way, we would love to be able to do that to somehow, but none of us know where to really start without just diving in and doing it. It's like that with everything, I guess, in life, but it's cool to be that artistic to know, to have a vision and bring it to life. Right. You know what I mean, Chris?
And how to do it the best way that you can,
Yeah.
Well, the key word that I like that I caught early on was be humble. And that's one thing a lot of people are not, it seems like. And that being humble goes a long ways. It really does.
Agree. Definitely.
I never put myself ahead of anybody, like you can always learn something from somebody, and you don't know where they've been or who they've talked to. So many people I've seen burn bridges that could have given them an opportunity down the road by just being human or just trying to understand where somebody's coming from. And I don't know, like I try to not burn those bridges, and always keep that friendship open. You never know where that person could help you or you can help them at some point down the road. And I don't know,
So Hinsdale House and American Haunting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. Is that, and I apologize for asking this, but is that, how many books do you have out there?
Oh, I just have the one, and I have 2 more in works right now.
Okay. I just knew this one was out, or I didn't know if you had released any before that. And but
no, it's been a time thing, like trying to balance everything. What do I get done next? And it's just, do I write for 8 days here, or do I have so much stuff I do daily that it's just tough to fit in even an hour sometimes,
No, I agree, man. I know that feeling exactly, between Paralinked and music and, the wife and stuff. It is tough to squeeze everything in a day. There's just not enough hours in the day. So you started off a while back with the investigating and with the other team and stuff. So I know you probably get asked this a lot, but where is the location that, other than the Hinsdale house, right, that,
or the house that I grew up in,
scared you the most, basically?
Oh, that's an easy one for me because it's something that's like etched in my spine. It was called the Riviera Theater, and it's actually where we held the season 3 premiere of Deathwalker last year.
Really?
Yeah, it's this amazing old theater in a town called North Tonawanda, New York. It's a suburb of Buffalo. And it had stories of a woman in white, a little girl getting hit with a sandbag that was on the stage and dying instantly. A worker on the roof that fell off the roof and died when they were fixing the roof. So, and also like a maitre d' that an old man of a maitre d' that is known for sitting in the seats and walking up and down the aisles. And it's an old vaudeville theater. It's got a Mighty Wurlitzer organ and one of those old, as it plays, it controls all the different instruments that are up front, and it's really cool. But we were there with our team investigating, and I actually did a Behind the Shadows episode on this place. It's up on my YouTube station. It's got a lot of views. But it was a location that we were getting some great evidence. We were doing cool things like with K2 meters on the stage and asking the actors and actresses to come out and take a bow, and watching the K2 meters light up on the stage, and people were clamping. But at one point of the investigation, I just wanted to go on my own and just try to see if I can experience anything. So we had set up some cameras up in the balcony and the mezzanine, and I was sitting at the baby grand piano. We had a camera on, we had a laser grid up, all the expensive tools of a paranormal investigator. And I'm just sitting there, and I just see this black shadow. There was another little small organ on the wall over to the left, and the shadow just just grew. It just like it started and it grew out of this. And I looked over and like, what's making the shadow? You know, like, and there was nothing. And then it was coming towards me, and the laser wasn't penetrating through this thing. Like to me, I was saying it's a solid, but it's not a solid. It just came out of nowhere. And all these things were going through my head, and I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It glided past me, and it glided right into the projection room. And I just remember taking a gulp of air, like one big gulp, and I stopped breathing because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I took my badass self, and as soon as I could gather my thoughts, and ran out of the front of the building into the middle of the street, and just I remember that they came running out to see what was going on and what I had saw, and I explaining it to them, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. I go, how could this thing not penetrate through the laser lights? What the heck was it? And my photographer went and started plastering, getting pictures up there. He was using infrared cameras, right? You know, his regular camera, so anything that he could, and he caught a picture of this thing. You know, he caught a picture of what I saw.
Really?
Yeah, and it's creepy as hell. You know, it looks like an old man, and it's just a grumpy old man, like peering down at us, like, what are we doing? You know, like just checking us out type of thing. But I didn't, you know, in retrospect, I guess today, if that happened to me, I wouldn't feel as threatened as I did. It's just the unknown, seeing something that you can't explain. And, you know, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be scared if that happened again today, but, you know, because that's what I'm there for. But as you do it longer and you see things and hear things, and you get a little bit more used to what you're doing, you know. So I would be more prone to maybe I should have asked some questions or done something besides just stand there in fright. But it freaked the hell out of me, I'll tell you.
Well, I tell you what, man, when I was up there at Ashmore Estates with you guys, I think you were in the basement, and Nick was up on third floor. And I don't know if I ever told you this story, but I know I've told Chris about it. But I took that camera and set it in one of the rooms up there that was dark, and it just had the only light coming in was that street light, right? So I walk over there and I grab that camera to take over towards where Nick was. He was doing his geobox, having a spirit box session there. And as I'm walking across, I saw a shadow out of the corner of my eye. And my wife was there, and my friend Tom was there, right? And I saw it, and I moved real quick to look at it, and I felt a pain in my shoulder blade. Didn't think nothing of it, you know. The next morning, I get up, and it's just hurting bad, so I thought maybe I had a pinched nerve. So then I started going to the chiropractor. Well, nothing solving it. I'm sleeping like this on my couch. You know, I don't have a recliner, you know. We had just gotten rid of the recliner like a year before. So I'm sleeping like that for about an hour a night, and I go to my doctor. I took off work, go to my doctor. She gives me some muscle relaxers. Helped out a little bit, you know. And then they start sending me to workers hardening and physical therapy and stuff like that. And I hadn't had any issues with my neck in years and years and years, right? So it could just be a coincidence. But I go to a physical therapy, and they suggest I go get an MRI. So as soon as I get that MRI, the next day that doctor calls me. He says, hey, you need to get in. We got to do surgery on you. I was missing a disc in my neck.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, you know, I almost got out of the paranormal field, like done with it. You know what I mean? I was burning sage. I was Alton Mineral Springs Mall here in Alton, Illinois. You know, I was going there to a spiritual person. Yeah. And she's in there, and she's, you know, telling me things. She told me about an Indian, and I used to have night terrors. I'd wake up and see a Native American at the end of my bed. I gave it an offering. It went away. But it's still, you know, they fixed the disc, and it felt 100% better after they fixed it. But how much of a coincidence is that, you know? But I really almost got out of it completely. I was like, heck with this. But I stuck in it. But before that, though, I was kind of a skeptic, you know?
Well, yeah.
But after that happened, I mean, it opened my eyes. I'd seen a few things. Had a tricycle move there at one time, just roll backwards. We have it on film. And then just a few other things. But, you know, in all the hunts I've done, there's only a couple things that I was kind of like, yeah, that can't be explained. But, man, once that thing hit me, I was like, you got to be kidding me. What about you, Chris?
You tell Robin about that?
Tell who?
Robin from Ashmore? Robin Terry?
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah. Now, does Robin still own that?
Yeah.
Someone passed away there, didn't they? Like 2 years ago?
It wasn't him.
No, it wasn't him, but there was someone that, because Tom and I, after we went with
Oh,
you,
the heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did message him last year, and they had a lot of bookings, but they actually stayed good price for people to hunt. It's very good price.
He kind of has the same mentality as I do, and a few other locations like the Wildwood Sanitarium and the Old Park Hotel in Ballinger. They keep their prices really fair for investigators, and Monroe House. There's a whole bunch. Like we have a good network. We promote each other.
Yeah,
try to keep things fair for everyone.
I kept communication, and it was Robin, and I forget the other person. I sent an email to him when I was talking to him a couple months later about trying to reserve it, and that's when I mentioned what had happened there. Because I didn't know at that particular time. I just knew that I saw a shadow. I didn't realize my whole neck was that so messed up. But yeah, no, it was. I do like that place, and we will get back sometime. I think we've been there 3 times now. 2 times right before that. So, what about you, Chris? You have any exciting experiences like that?
Oh man, I don't have to leave my studio, guys. You know me. It's so active with all my dolls. It's great. It's always entertaining for the guests. So yeah.
Chris,
Yeah,
I was talking to somebody the other day that does a podcast, and they have issues inside of their studio as well. And then I was thinking, man, and Daniel, maybe maybe you've heard about this stuff or not. Chris has a lot, the cat balls will go off, stuff like that. He has some dolls in there that are really old. And this other guy, I forget who it was, gosh darn it. He had some stuff going off in his when people would talk to him and bring up experiences. And I just didn't know if you had ever heard anything like that, Daniel, of anybody doing podcasts, and in the area that they're in, there's actually stuff that go off.
In the office that we're in right now, we're in this is like where we do all of our editing and stuff like that. But this is like our no sleep entertainment office. And when we were in here, like Nick has to bring his paranormal equipment and leave it in the office. And his Geo box that he uses has something attached to it. Something's attached to this thing. And I remember he had brought it home, and Tessa's like, "Get that thing out of here," So he's like, "Leave it at the office. We'll just leave it at the office." And the next day I came in, and all the lights started flickering in the building. Like it just anytime I brought in something that was haunted into the building, it seems like it affects the energy and the lights, and sometimes what we're trying to do there. So it's when you bring things in, I guess you have to expect it a little, huh? When you have a bunch of dolls that are haunted, it's bound to happen, huh?
Yeah,
I agree.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we my wife and I hate to say this every time we have. It seems like every couple of weeks we talk about it, but I have a huge old toy collection, like 1980s and past. I know 1980s ain't that far long ago, but we have some 1930s and some old Fisher Price toys, stuff like that. And we always say a prayer when we get it. We always say, "Demons stay here." Not demons, because I've never met a demon. Hopefully I never ever do. But spirits stay here. You're not allowed out the house. When we get to the house, we say the same prayer. We tell them to stay out and praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Whatever you think. It's worked out so far over the last 4 years. We really haven't had anything. I almost say this house is clean.
That's cool.
But no, so with all the shows you've done, and I know a lot of people want to ask, and I'm just going to ask it. What have you seen that I know what you've been involved with has been real. I honestly believe 100% what you've been involved with has been real. What are your thoughts on all this other stuff going on that some people are saying, some of the other shows out there made up, they're just trying to get entertainment value. They and of course we know you could be on a show for a week on a location and you're only going to show the 30 minutes of the best stuff.
Right.
But what's your take on all that of people?
Well, I guess
trying to monopolize off it,
I don't know. I think that you have to gauge your, people want to say what they want to say, but they're not there. They don't experience it. They don't, and a lot of it's, getting to know people as well and knowing their personalities and knowing what they stand for in the paranormal. And do I think that sometimes television probably makes shows do certain things to make it seem more scary or something? Probably. But do I think there's a big handful of people out there that are making shows that hold true to their game, like most of the guys on the Ghost Hunter show? I don't think Jason. I don't think, I know Dustin. I know Sherry. I know all those people. I've investigated with most of them, and I don't. I did an event with Steve a couple times, and they're hardcore. They look, they do the stuff that we do. They could sit there and probably have a discussion just like you and I, and they try to debunk stuff. I mean, even with Grant, when they did the new series, I mean, I was like, when I started watching the show and they were talking about spider webs up on the camera, like, thank you, like this is he's debunking stuff, like, and I think that's what needs to be done, and just be honest about it. I've also, I've worked with people. I've worked with the guys that like Project Fear, Dakota and those guys, and Dakota is a filmmaker. But do I think what they experience at the locations, as far as their, it's not so much what they were doing was paranormal. It was more fear based. They're putting themselves. They're not paranormal investigators. They've been around that type of stuff, but everybody always cloaks them in with paranormal. And they're getting scared by stuff that's in the paranormal, but that's basically what their show is about, Yeah. And if you want, you can say what you want, but that's their basis for their show.
Yeah, and that's why it's called Fear Destination.
Yeah, exactly. Project Fear now on YouTube. So I mean, could it be done? Sure, but the people that I know and the stuff that I've experienced with them, it's only on personal experience, and
yeah.
And I can say, like, for the 4 seasons that I've done Deathwalker, it's me, Nick, and Justin, his cousin, and maybe Austin, who does our tech, or Tessa, and we have such a small crew on set. There's some of the things that we've seen and experienced on set. Even though, I'm not on every episode, I'm helping with a battery, or I'm helping with a light, or I'm helping, we're doing the jobs of 40 people, like Ghost Adventures, they have like a crew of 40.
Yep.
And how can you do an investigation with that many people? Like, it, to me, like, I don't know. I like the way that we're doing it. Nick and Justin have done it so many times. Justin can put a camera on a tripod and hold one, and maybe I'm holding one or I'm not holding one, but we're getting all the angles. We're doing what we're supposed to do. You don't need that many people, and the mics are set up the way that the mics are set up, and we have the lights positioned the way, everything's set up the way it needs to be. Whereas they would have each person holding a light or a microphone and all this stuff, and there's more room for contamination. So the less that you have, the better your evidence is going to be.
I like it. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm glad you answered that. I know some people, they don't realize how in depth it can be to, number one, trust everybody that's around you, and to me, if you had 40 people on that set, it's almost like doing a public hunt, and public hunts are tough to do, right?
They are.
The spider on a web, I never realized what type of a glow that gives.
Oh yeah.
And somebody on Facebook, one of my friends, from high school, he posted a picture of it on his Facebook page, and he's telling everybody, look what I found. This is on my camera. What is that? It's haunted. My place is haunted, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, what the heck is that? And my friend, Jeff Schlachter, he's with the Warren Legacy Foundation, and he's a regional director at that time. And I messaged him and I was like, hey man, I said, do you know what this is? And just right off the bat, he knew. He said that got me one time. He said I spent like 2 or 3 days trying to figure out what the heck that was, like 10 years ago, but he understood exactly what it was. So now I just said that because you brought that up there. When I asked you earlier about the scariest place, you said something about your house growing up. Right before that, what's up with that? What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, because that definitely was scary. Like, it was, looking back, I ended up buying that house from my parents as well. My first haunted house purchase, but we grew up there, and weird things would happen as kids, and my parents always tried to protect us. Didn't really, always tried to say like people were playing pranks on us and things like that. But, things would happen that just weren't explainable. And it's funny because later in life, they're so much more prone to talk about it. And then when the show came and we're going to do My Paranormal Nightmare, when we were going to film that, my other sister started wanting to talk about it. My mom was going to talk. I'm like, wow, where were you guys my whole life? But yeah, like we would have like walk in, we have like vaulted ceilings in the living room, and we'd go to church on Sunday and we go out for breakfast. We come home and there'd be like crayon drawings on the ceiling with crayons sitting in the middle of the floor.
Wow.
My sister was anal about, like, she had OCD about her stuffed animals. Before she even left for school, they all had to be placed on her bed. And of course, I was the only brother. I had 3 sisters, and I always got blamed for everything that happened. But we'd come home and her stuffed animals would be sitting in the middle of the floor. You'd hear singing, like just like I remember my parents were camping at Shirkston up in Canada, and I chose to stay home and stay at my best friend's house, who lived two doors down. When I was a younger kid, I was probably like 12 or 13 years old, and we were playing G.I. Joe guys out in the backyard, and I wanted to go get mine, and so we went and opened my door, and we heard it sounded like a little boy and a little girl singing "Ring Around the Rosie" upstairs, coming from the upstairs of my house. I'm like, who is in my house? I'm like, let's get out of here and call the police. And he just went, no fear whatsoever, ran up the stairs, and I ran up behind him, and nothing was up there. And we walked by my sister's room, and it was like a bear was sitting in the middle of the floor, and it just fell over like that. And I was like, what the heck? Like, so, it just little things like that happening. I ended up buying the house, and then I started researching it when I got the deed, looking up the families that lived there. I also went and saw a psychic at Lilydale Academy, and before I even sat down and paid her, she's telling me about these 2 kid spirits that lived in my house. I'm like, wow. She gave me the Holy Grail before I even paid her. Like, this is what I wanted to know. And then she wanted to tell me stuff about my grandfather that nobody would know, things about my where I had things of his in my house. She was pinpointing them, and I just knew what she was saying was true. And then I ended up finding the history of the little boy and the little girl from the original family that lived in the house that died of cystic fibrosis. And the psychic at Lilydale told me that they were attached to something of theirs in the house. Huh. For the life of me, I couldn't find it until finally I went up in the attic, the little crawl spaces with the little circular little square in the attic that nobody ever goes into, because I went and got a ladder, and I opened that thing up, and it was like opening up a can of tennis balls, and put the flashlight, and I saw some boards over on the wall, and there was really nothing else up there, and I tiptoed across the beams, hoping I didn't fall through the floor. And when I got to these boards, I turned them around, and they were paintings of a little boy and a little girl. There was a series of them, and I was like, wow, that there they are right there, playing with a dog. And I've kept them. I've moved out of that house since, but I've kept those paintings with me. And I just remember saying, it's okay. We know we found what you're attached to. You can go to the light. You're safe, everything's safe, and it seemed like it died down after that,
No, that's a good story.
Wild. Yeah.
It's like my first Scooby-Doo episode of my life, that's kind of what turned me on to what I do today, because, through the whole process of me buying the house and doing the research and coming up with a conclusion, it's like I could have got my parents to sat them down and say, this is what was happening all these years, and this is who it was, and being able to give them answers, even to myself, was compelling. So it was kind of cool.
Have you ever done any private hunts for people back in the day?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I still will. I mean, I if I have time, which I don't a lot, but if I can, I will. Like it's not like I'm out of the game to not help people. I did one locally in the city that I live in just a little while ago. They were having stuff happen in their house, and me and one of the people, my original group, we still investigate together, the Greater Western Paranormal Society. So, if we can go in and give somebody some answers, we will.
No, that's awesome. The Nando DeSerio says she can't, or he, or I'm looks like him. Looking forward to meeting you next month. I guess
Cool.
hey, you're going to be in London next month, ain't you?
Non-Eaton. I mean, I'm flying into London, but it's Non-Eaton, England. Yeah.
Yeah. That's coming up, in a couple weeks, ain't it?
Third weekend in September.
So my wife and I just got back from there last, 2 weeks ago, I think, maybe a week and a half, whatever. We'll go there in a heartbeat, man. So one thing that we noticed over there, and I talked to Chris about this too, is how much just everything over there is just so old. I mean, so historic.
Yeah, we think what we got here is old, but
well, yeah, but it seems like you even made a great point earlier. A lot of this stuff's gets tore down because nobody wants to come fix it.
Yeah,
and in the St. Louis area, I see that a lot. I know Grizzly sees it a lot in the Kentucky area too. But yeah, we loved it over there. Is there any particular place? I know you have the actual event that you're going to be at. Are there any other places, or where are you going to be hunting at over there, or are you going to do any?
We're actually going to be doing a ghost hunt at the location of the event. So the Bosworth Hall. It's an amazing. I was there a couple of years ago. We got some pretty cool stuff there. It's got a lot of cool secret little places to investigate, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. Now I don't know. I know that Karen, the producer of the event, she's going to be taking us to some other locations, an old castle. So she's got some stuff planned, which I'm excited for. So
that's awesome. We did, believe it or not, we did Highgate Cemetery there in London. I don't know if you've ever done that or not.
Mm-mm.
I suggested because it's 150,000 people that are buried there. A lot of them are buried on top of each other in tombs, up to 10 people per tomb, and a lot of families, stuff like that. But the one thing that interested me the most is they have above ground catacombs. And by that, what I mean is in the 70s, they thought there was like a vampire there. The one guy convinced the whole town, right? So they started going around and investigating the cemetery at night, because there's a 20-year period that nobody owned the cemetery, just went into relapse, until the volunteers took it over. But they broke into these above ground catacombs, or not catacombs, but above ground caskets and all that. Mausoleum. Yeah, almost mausoleum. Yeah. So they broke into it, but it's a huge one. It has and the concrete tombstones over each square. On a lot of them, they busted it out, and then they also busted into the coffins themselves, and they also stole stuff off the coffins. And they're all the skeletons and stuff are there that you can see some of the skeletons, and I thought, man, I took my my EMF in there for, but I only had like 30 seconds, without her talking. I'm trying to staying away from her, going back, turn it red, stuff like that. But I didn't really have time to do a serious hunt there. But I thought, man, if somebody had the time to actually spend in there, that would probably be a worthwhile hunt. Plus, it's George Michael's burial space.
Oh, yeah.
He's buried there as well. My wife, that's the reason we went. My wife wanted to go there. But before we went, we read up on it about the above ground catacombs too. So that
might as well see what else you're up for, right?
Exactly. If I'm going to walk around for 2 miles inside of a cemetery, I'm gonna, if there's something there I can hunt, I'm going to hunt that.
Exactly.
What do you think, Grizz?
Oh, absolutely. It's been an honor having him on the show. Yes. Wonderful.
Yeah. So then if you're there and you said you're going to do some castles, that's our goal next year, is to go to Scotland and Ireland to try to do at least one castle over there. But, you mentioned earlier that, the Hinsdale house is basically, it's more than the United States thing now. I mean, people from overseas hear about it, and obviously you talk about it when you're at your conventions, the Paracons and stuff like that. What have you noticed is the furthest away point that that people have heard about it or has come and visited it? Put it that way. Where have people come from?
Australia.
It's amazed you.
Australia. I've had people from France. I've had people from England, Canada, South America, Brazil. I mean, it's Mexico.
Man, that's
Ireland. I mean, yeah. I mean, all over the place.
That's awesome. So that's
awesome,
global,
yeah.
man. That definitely is. Has anybody come out of there and been like, I'm never coming back to this? They've been so scared.
Maybe once in a while, but 99.9% of the people that come there can't wait to get back. You know, like they feel drawn to it. So I mean, and I see a trend with the teams too, because they're coming in and they're booking like 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row now because they want to just be able to be part of the atmosphere and just, you know, experience it too. You know, like I've gotten to the point where I've had to it's kind of like it's like a camping place with a cabin now, because like what people are spending so many days there now. I have cornhole, I have kayaks for people to go into the pond, and you know, they can go fishing, you know. So there's stuff to detour the monotony of paranormal investigating 24/7, but then they're there living at the house and experiencing the house as if they were living there. And I feel like the evidence that we're getting and the answers that we're getting it's like more compelling, you know. Like I've even had people coming in doing metal detecting, pulling up pieces of the old barn and finding cool stuff that was there that we wouldn't even have known were there, just because they're putting an effort and being able to dive in, you know, which that's what they're there for. That's what we're all working for. So
the McPike house, I have to ask you about that. Have you been into the McPike mansion down here in Alton?
I have.
What did you think of it? That's what I was wanting to ask you. My wife and I were talking about that before.
No, it was about probably I went in. I was there with Chris Sutton and Kelly, and it was in Coyote Chris, yeah. And it was in pretty bad disrepair, but I thought it was an amazing property. I thought that definitely some really good energy coming from that location. I mean, we were there during the day, just kind of got a tour of it and got to check it out. It wasn't even to the point where we could even like go upstairs.
Yep.
But we, you know, I mean, if it gets fixed up, I don't know where it's at today, but definitely awesome, cool place.
They ended up fixing the roof and the eaves. They're trying to keep it as natural as possible. She gave us a tour during the day, and we had to walk across open floors, you know, on beams and stuff, but it wasn't horrible. But she still doesn't let anybody in the back area or up the steps. But when we were there the last time, I believe it was, you know, the foyer, right when you walk in, you could see the laths on the plaster above you. The fingers of the laths were going like this.
Oh, jeez.
We have it on tape, on video. And then we also heard like somebody moving furniture upstairs. You could hear it scrape across. I mean, it's just like somebody picked up a couch and just drug it across the floor. We have that on tape. And then, of course, the basement's really cool with the old, basically, refrigeration, that cave, and all that stuff down there. Now, Chris is from Kentucky. He's down by Waverly Hills.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, my mom used to work there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about going down there and trying to hook up with it. I'm sure you've hunted there before, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've been there.
What'd you think of that place?
Oh, I love it. I love an old hospital, you know, an old insane asylum. You know, I feel like there's so many stories that and energies that are there that just are misunderstood, and being able to like put yourself in there, kind of like I don't know, like I feel like I go in as a counselor, kind of in a way, you know, and just try to understand and talk to people, because they were mistreated a lot back then, you know, or misdiagnosed with things that they couldn't control and deemed crazy, and you know, it sucks. Sucks. Yeah, that had to go through some of the treatments they went through.
Roger wants to know: have you have any cryptid activity around your house?
Yes. Yeah, we actually have Center for Cryptozoology has been up there. They've gotten cast from Bigfoot feet. We also have we've gotten pictures of what we think is a pukwudgie in the forest behind the house.
Oh wow,
creepy little thing. But yeah, no, there's been a couple teams that have captured it. So there's definitely some cryptid stuff going on up there for people that like to dive into that. I remember we were doing this one event, and the Center for Cryptozoology was there. It was a weekend camping event, and they were kind of going and teaching people about tree knocking and this guy named Mike Page. Sorry, Mike, if you're watching this, I'm going to blow up your spot right now. So he he's taking the girls down to where the hanging tree was at the Hinsdale house. It's down the road, and next thing you know, you hear this big crack, like sounds like something pushing the tree down. Like no kidding, like timber. You're hearing this tree coming down, and I've never seen a probably close to 300, maybe a little bit more pound man run so fast down the dirt road, and the girls are like walking slow. But that was the night that we were there. You know, like could they have summoned something? I don't know. Like it was a tree fell over into the road out of the blue. Healthy tree.
Wow.
You know.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to make it to Buffalo here next year, honey. She's shaking her head. Yeah, so we'll be setting something up with you, I'm sure.
They call it the Enchanted Forest for a reason, I guess.
That is true.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Grizz, that's a good. Whoever asked that was a great question. Roger, that's a good question. You know what? I try to dive into the spirit world of stuff, and I never forget. I don't mean that I forget to bring up the cryptid stuff, but sometimes I do.
I mean, the house also has encounters with UFOs as well. So I mean, it's got all the levels. I mean, even the lady that lived there in the 70s wrote about a UFO that they saw hovering over the house. I've seen some weird stuff up in the sky above the house.
Oh, cool.
I've been looking at ley lines. I've been looking at anything you can look at as far as like the energy sources for this house go. I mean, we have an underground aquifer that we've mapped up into the forest.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So it's definitely got some energy there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's we hunted a house once that we found before we went there that there was about 30 foot below the ground. There was a stream that was running under it, and the people were experiencing stuff. But the main thing they were experiencing was negativity with each other. They were only married like a year, and they said they were at each other's throats. The kids were seeing stuff, they were seeing stuff, and come to find out there was that stream underneath there. And we're not that paranormal is a group that I'm with it, and we're not out to run ghosts off or anything like that, or spirits. We don't claim any of that, but we did hunt, we did ask questions, we did do what we felt was right. And like 6-8 months later, we had followed up with them, and they hadn't had any issues after that. So it made us feel better anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
I know Chris has had a few experiences, like his grandpa out on his back deck of his house. You want to tell him that one, Grizz? See what he thinks about it?
Oh yeah. So I deal with psychics all the time. I do a paranormal and true crime show on Fridays, and I got a board of psychics around the world, and they're well known, and review a case and take a picture to them. And what they do is they, do their homework and bring them on the show, and whatever they remote view, dials, whatever, and they share their information, right? So my grandfather has always watched over me during my law enforcement career and everything, and he's with me as of yesterday, my psychics tell me. But anyway, when I was a teenager down at the lake, I get up to get me something to drink, and on the old decks, right? You got the old aluminum door, you got to, pull it open, you got the little bell, and well, you hear it. Well, I look, and I'm like, there's somebody out there on the deck, and the deck's closed. I didn't hear the door or the bell, and somebody's smoking a cigarette. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, oh, yeah, hey. It was my grandfather smoking a cigarette. And why is it when you want somebody to get up when they're sleeping, they don't get up, right? So I'm like, she wouldn't get up. So I finally got her up, and of course, about that time, he's no longer there. So we go out on the porch. She goes, "Are you smoking?" Because there was smoke still there. I'm like, "No, I'm not smoking." It was like, his grandpa, he was out there smoking. So yeah, so he came.
At least smelled that, huh?
Yeah, right, and it was still there. Smoke was trapped underneath the ceiling of the deck.
Yeah.
So it was wild. So yeah, phantom smoke. So it was very interesting. So yeah, but everybody on my mom's side of the family's always came back. So very interesting.
Cool. That's awesome. Good story.
Yeah, very interesting. So,
yeah, I think through the years everybody sees something as long as their mind opens. You know, what's that? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've seen different things. Like I said, the Native American at the end of the bed. That saw that basically. I came to realization almost my whole life up until I gave it an offering, according to the spiritual advisor, is what I should do, and that's what I did. And 3 years now, I've been Native American free. So, yeah. So, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it's been a great show. I'm glad you took your time and came on with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daniel, it's appreciated. Is there anything, any you want to advertise your YouTube page? Anything? Let us
absolutely
do at it.
Go to danielklaes.com. My name right there on the screen. If you're interested in supporting what I do, I have a Patreon. Or a cool store with lots of cool T-shirt designs. That all the proceeds from that go towards renovating and keeping the upkeep of the Hinsdale house. I have also do the Haunted magazine. There's a new one coming out in September. So if anybody's interested in getting subscribed to that, that's on my website as well. So check it out. And there's anything that you buy off my website, danielklaes.shop. There's a link for it on my website. All the proceeds go back to the house. So appreciate being able to let people know about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Last 2 Christmases ago, my wife bought me a Hinsdale House shirt. I like that shirt. That's cool.
Yeah, you should see all the new ones I have.
I look at your store. I look at the store every once in a while. And we have the key change from that. Before you changed them for the EMF, ain't it? Yeah, the EMF original ones from whenever we were at Ashmore. We bought some of those up there. So
yeah, I got some new rubber ones now that weren't 3D printed.
It's cool.
So
okay, well, hey, regardless, Daniel, hey man, we appreciate you showing up.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you,
and you all have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast around the world. That's a wrap. You all have a good evening. Take care,
guys.
everybody. See
Good
you
night.
all. Bye bye.